All right, so in this video, we're gonna show you how to create a custom hook in React. Now this can be useful because it allows you to extract logic from your components into separate hooks. Now, all we have here is a create React app. It's basically blank, and then I have a folder for hooks and a hook that I've labeled use local storage.js. And that's the only other file we have, and it's blank right now. So I said, go ahead and create that, and then we can get started. So we actually don't need this open. We can get rid of this, and we're gonna start right here in our app.js and just create a little markup that we're gonna use. So let's come over here, and in here, we're gonna have an input, and it's gonna be of type text, and then we're just gonna have a placeholder, and that's gonna be equal to enter text. And what else we got? We have a value, and that's going to be equal to text. Close that off. And then lastly, an on change, and that is going to be equal to e. And we're going to go set text, and we're going to set the text to e.target.value. Now we haven't set up any of this, but this is going to be kind of our markup. And then we can close that off and close that off and save that. Now this is what our input's going to look like. Then the only other thing below that, we're going to have a button. And in that button, we're going to say reset. And let's come back over here and we'll go on click. And that's going to be equal to, we'll do an arrow function here, and we'll set our text back to an empty string here. And that will allow us just to reset our text. Now what we're gonna be creating for this hook is gonna be called use local storage. And actually I got this from this website. You see we have some errors already. Usehooks.com. It's got a lot of custom hooks that this guy has created, but this one, use local storage, is from there. So you can see we haven't set our text or any of that yet, but that's okay. So this is just our markup for this. And then we're gonna bring in after our use local storage, as well as, yeah, I guess that's the only other thing we'll bring in. All right, so let's go ahead and create this custom hook here. So I got a snippets library. So I think RFCE maybe, yep. This will create a custom, some markup for us. And then the only other thing we want to bring in here is going to be use state, because that's what we're going to create our custom hook with. And what else do we need? Okay, so we got to have in here, we're going to have our key. So when you're using local storage, you have to have a key. And then we're going to have initial value. And then below that, we're gonna come in and we're gonna use some state in here. Oh, that's not how you spell initial value at all. Initial value, make sure I spell that right. So get that good. And then come over here and we're gonna have some state that we're gonna use here. So let's go const, and we're gonna go and call it stored value, and then set stored value. And that's gonna be equal to use state. And then in here, we're gonna have a function actually. So open up that, we're gonna do an arrow function and then open up some curly braces. And in here, we're gonna actually have a try catch block. So try catch, we got a snippet for that. And inside the try, we're gonna go const item, and that's gonna be equal to window.localStorage.getItem. And we're gonna set that to the key that we're passing in. Okay, so this is local storage.getItem is how you retrieve items from your local storage, and we're just getting off that window object. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna return. And if there is an item, so if there's something in local storage, we're gonna do a ternary operator. So if there is an item, we're gonna go JSON dot parse, and we're going to parse the item. And if there isn't, we're just going to set it to the initial value. Okay, so that's all there is for that. So again, when you set items in local storage, you have to stringify them. So when we're getting the item like we are here, we want to be able to parse that. So if there is an item, we're parsing the item. And if there isn't, we just set it to the initial value. Then let's come down here, and inside our catch block, we can just do a console.log, and we'll log that error out. And then we also just want to return the initial value. Okay, so that's all there is for this. Now, we actually don't need any of this in the return statement. So let's get rid of that, and then come down here, and we're gonna go const set value. So we just got our values from here. Now we're gonna set them, and that's gonna be equal to value, arrow function, and here another try catch. So come down, try catch. Come down and let's actually get rid of that. So we're going to come here and we're going to do a try catch again. So come down, do a try catch, and we're going to go const. Oh, not like that's catch, that's the error. Come up here, and we're going to go const. What do we got? Value to store, we're going to call it. And that's going to be equal to the value instance of function. So this is what we're doing here. You see up here how we created, we're returning a function. So it's going to need to match that. So we have to go instance of a function. So we're creating a function here, and then we're going to go value, and then we're going to go stored value. And then otherwise, we're just going to do value. So again, another ternary operator here. We're setting it to make sure it's a function to match this, and then the value to the stored value. Otherwise, just the value that was passed in from here. Okay, so that is good. And then below that, we're going to say set stored value, and that's going to be value to store. So we're setting it to that. Then we're gonna go window.local storage, and now we're gonna set the item. Before we got the item, now we're gonna set it, set item, and we're gonna pass in the key, and we're gonna pass in the JSON.stringify. Like I said before, you gotta stringify it before you set it in local storage, and then value to store. Great, and then we can come down below here, and we'll just console.log the error. Perfect. Now, if we come down here, I think we might be missing a bracket here, so let's go here. There we go. So come down below here, and this is what we want to return, and that's going to be the stored value as well as the set value. Okay. So do we have any errors? We might have some errors, but that's just because we haven't set those yet. So let's come back over to the app, and this is where we're going to bring in our use local storage. So come up to the top here, and we're going to go import use local storage, and that is going to be from what is it? /hooks/ use local storage. Great. Now, we're going to come in here under here, and we are going to set our use local storage, initialize it here. So let's go const, and we have text, and then we have set text, and that is going to be equal to use local storage. And we want to pass in the key here, which is going to be text, and it's going to be an empty string. Okay, so we're bringing in the use local storage, and we're setting the text and the set text, which are what we are going to pass in, the key and the initial value. Okay, so let's go back over and see if this works at all. So it looks like something's up. Let's inspect this and see, where is it, our application. And this is what we got right now. So if we go ahead, this is our local storage you can find in your application. Let's bump that up a little bit. Okay. So this is what we're looking at, the text. And right now, as we set it to an empty string, so we can type in, this is the test, and you can see as we go, it's setting the state of the local storage. And then again, we want to refresh that. It's gonna persist. So that's kind of a cool little custom hook we can write. Again, we can delete stuff and everything. And then finally, we had a reset. So this will set this back to an empty string. So I think that is basically it. Hopefully that was useful and gave you kind of a start into building your own custom hooks. Again, I'd recommend that website, usehooks.com, very helpful. Yeah, so hopefully that's good. If you like the video, go ahead, subscribe or hit like, and until the next one, thanks for watching.